Okay, good morning. I'm Ruby C. Scroggins. I'm currently a board member for VOA. I was first introduced to VOA in 2012 when the VOA and Caddo Parish Schools decided to pilot the CIS Communities and Schools program. And I've kind of been indoctrinated ever since because I was so impressed with the work that they do in our community. And so I'm excited for you to hear about another aspect of VOA and how they're helping our veterans. So I'm going to pass it on to Father John.
Good morning. How's everybody this morning?
Good morning.
Hope everybody had a good Fourth. I am the chaplain for Volunteers of America, in addition to serving at Church for the Highlands. And I want to give you a special welcome, and also to say that Carolyn is on vacation this week. And so it is always a joy when I get to fill in. So I can't say it enough how excited I am about Volunteers of America and the work that is done here in this community. And you're going to hear a little bit about it this morning. So the nice thing about these virtual tours is that you don't have to get out in the heat. You don't have to try to find a place to park or anything like that. So in the summertime when we do these, it is very nice. Today in our veteran services, you're going to hear about our residential facilities providing shelter to veterans, and also how we're supporting veterans in the community with much needed support. But first, let me tell you a little bit about who we are at Volunteers of America. We are a faith-based organization, and we're committed to serving the community's most vulnerable. Our founders, Maud and Ballington Booth, began this mission in New York City on March the 8th, 1896. And they have a wonderful story of how they went out into the streets of New York and began to serve the most vulnerable. Orphans, people who had been imprisoned, the children of people who had been imprisoned, people who were sick, who were mentally ill. They really reached out and began to do the work that they felt like God had given them to do. And that work continues on through hundreds of human service programs, including housing and healthcare. Volunteers of America helps 1.5 million people across the nation in over 400 different communities, including ours. And ours began in 1935. And that is how long that we've been involved in doing this work in Shreveport. And this work is offering a place of hope where anyone gets the chance to start over. And sometimes they get second and third and fourth times to start over, or just to hit the refresh button. Back then, it was a young woman seeking adoption services and shelter. Today, it may be a student who is struggling in school, a veteran who is overcoming trauma, a senior citizen needing a safe place to live and affordable housing, or an individual needing to cope with their disability and how to be self-sufficient in living on their own and in their own place, and with daily support systems. Within these four populations, we operate around 40 different programs serving those most in need in our community. And put simply, what we want to do is help people stay in their communities and to be successful in their communities. Last year, we served over 8,000 people. Just think about that for a minute. We served over 8,000 people, men, women, and youth. And that's a big job. That takes a lot of people and a lot of resources. And so you might wonder, well, how is it that this happens? Well, it doesn't happen without our staff. We have 375 full-time and part-time staff members who show up every single day to provide services for the clients that need us and who count on us. It does not happen without high quality, effective programming like the one that you will learn about more here today as we hear about the services that are provided to our veterans, but also places like the Lighthouse. And on different tours, you're going to hear different things about our different programs. It also does not happen without financial support. We have a funding gap to provide our quality services, and that means there is a difference between what the government pays for and what the true cost of delivering our intensive services is. And so this year, as we just began a brand new fiscal year on July 1st, our funding gap is $2.5 million. As of today, we have raised $545,491.14. So that's pretty good. We're off to a good start. So clearly it does not happen with you, our supporters, our volunteers continuing to serve, and our donors who continue to give. It happens with all of us working together to be able to accomplish these goals. And we are indeed all in this together. Volunteers of America is all about service to other people. And I have been the recipient of many people telling me about the great things that are happening with our clients and in our communities, and even with volunteers as they catch the bug for serving in this particular kind of way. So thank you again for being here, and I'm sure you're ready to see firsthand how there is no other nonprofit like Volunteers of America. And so I'm going to pass it over to Gary Janes at this time and let him tell you some more.
Thank you, John, or Father John, as I should say. And how do I always follow you? But anyway, thank you. I appreciate you guys coming. I just so ditto what John said. I appreciate the virtual tours, particularly in this kind of heat. So thanks for joining us. And just real quickly about me, I've been with Volunteers of America since 2010. This is my second tour of duty. I originally came to Volunteers of America right out of college back in 1989. Wow, I'm really dating myself. So I've been really involved and have always remained in touch with Volunteers of America throughout my tenure through a couple of other organizations. But I came back home, and this is truly what I believe to be home. Kind of to start this whole kind of virtual tour off, we wanted to share with you Sean's story. He was a veteran that came to us. He's been in a couple of our programs that we're going to talk about today, specifically Grant Per Diem and Safe Haven. And so with that, we'll let you see the story, and we'll talk some more on the other side of this.
I'm a veteran of the United States.
Well, hold on 1 second. Let me get the audio to work for y'all.
And just so everybody knows, we've had a few technical difficulties this morning, so bear with us.
All right, let me know if y'all can hear this, Gary, okay, when I share it. Oh, no. Hold on 1 second. I know what the problem is.
Okay, sure.
Okay. Gary, why don't we continue on and we'll come back, and I'm going to work on setting this up. And then if we have time at the end, we can share Sean's story before we all leave. How does that sound?
So sounds great.
Okay, thanks so much, everybody, for just going with the flow. All right. All right, go ahead.
Did you want to go back to this? Okay, there we go. So today, just briefly, we're going to go over kind of the Veteran Service Division. We want you to know what we do, kind of how we do it, and why we do it. Tricia? Okay, so I just kind of give you a brief timeline of how Veteran Services came to Volunteers of America. It all started in 2009 when the Overton Brooks VA Medical Center contacted Volunteers of America to see if we would partner with them to operate our Grant Per Diem program, or our Veterans Transitional Living Facility, as it's more known. The Grant Per Diem is one of those that I just get caught up because I deal with the VA so much. But it was our first program. It was our anchor program, and we started doing that. And then we opened the doors in 2010 after a complete renovation of our current facility. And then, as part of our operations, pretty quickly thereafter, we expanded in 2011 to our support services for veteran families. And we're going to talk a little bit more about these so we can just move relatively quickly through the timelines. And then in 2013, because of as a result of what we were seeing in our grant per diem program, which is very highly structured, we determined that there was a group of veterans that needed a safe space to come, but they weren't quite ready for the structured treatment program. And in 2013, we opened our Safe Haven program, which is considered a low barrier, kind of just a shelter opportunity to give somebody a safe place to live. And then hopefully we can get them to join us in, or to start receiving services. And then in 2015, again, this is all came out of experience and things that we needed to do. We partnered with the VA, the Caddo District Court, and the Louisiana Department of Corrections to launch our our Veterans Treatment Court. And that program provides us an opportunity to help veterans that are experiencing legal issues to get those issues expunged. And then just recently, literally, I want to say in July, around middle of July, the VA approached us once again to see if we would partner with them to provide the housing and the clinical component to house for the substance abuse disorder service program. And it really was an exceptional fit, as we'll go into in a little bit later. So again, our Veteran Transitional Living Program, or what I refer to as GPD, is just a highly structured treatment program that provides food, shelter, counseling, and intense therapeutic services for folks to work on issues they may have had. And it's really a holistic approach. If you see there, we currently have 32 residents with a capacity to serve 46. That may seem relatively low, but please keep in mind that we were, up until May the 11th, we were operating under the federal emergency rule, which would not allow us to expand beyond, at that point, 23 veterans because of the social distancing requirements and all the other COVID restrictions. So since then, we've ramped up pretty quickly from May the 11th. Now we're at 32 residents. We'll hopefully ramp up pretty quickly after that. And then our support services for veteran families. This was an interesting, and I think it's probably it is an exceptionally well-funded program that the VA came up with, because there was a whole host of folks, veterans that weren't being served, or maybe folks like places like our transitional living facilities may not be appropriate for, because if it's veteran with families, if they have children, a lot of our female veterans do not really want to be a part of a congregate facility. So essentially what this allows us to do, it provides financial support that we can rapidly deploy to help people that are currently homeless. And we can do that by helping them find housing, make sure they have their security deposits paid, a couple of months rent to get them caught up and established into housing. And that's done through scattered site housing, really throughout pretty much all of North Louisiana. And then our Safe Haven program, this was kind of a response to, as I described, our transitional living program, it's highly structured, it's very clinical, there's a lot of supportive services. But in 2013, the VA said, well, there's a whole host of veterans that may not be necessarily ready for or receptive to intensive treatment. And so we opened Safe Haven to fill that gap, right? And I'm proud to say that our Safe Haven is one of the few operating Safe Havens nationwide that serves veterans. Safe Haven as a model kind of fell out of favor, but it's coming back into favor because the city of Shreveport and the state of Louisiana has funded a civilian Safe Haven program at Hope Connection. So that's where we are now. And we're in our last option year for this particular contract, and we're in negotiations to maybe right size it a little bit where we get smaller. And so we can target those veterans in a much more responsive way. And then our Veterans Treatment Court, again, this was an offshoot, and it came out of something that we recognized early on in our transitional living program. Those folks are there and they do everything they're supposed to do, save money, engage in treatment, jobs, get an income. But then we discovered when people were ready to apply for an apartment or maybe apply for a job, that there may be some sort of outstanding legal charge. And we thinking about how is it that we could get around this. So the concept of Veterans Treatment Court is not new. It's in other states, but we were one of the first ones to do it here in Louisiana. And so we partner with Caddo Parish District Court, Judge Craig Marcotte, who subsequently moved on to the appellate court. He still is an integral part of that, and he is our judge. And so this program it's intensive. It's about a 15-month program where they have to stay clean, substance abuse tests, get a job, really focus on their lives. And once they do that, they have an opportunity to expunge their records. And since we've started this years ago, we've had 32 veterans graduate, and that's a pretty significant number given the intensity of this particular program. And with that, Charles is with us at our 360 location, and I'm going to pass it on to him, and he can share his experience both with either GPD or Veterans Court or both.
Well, thank you, Gary. Hello, everyone. As Gary said, my name is Charles Dawson. I'm very grateful for Veteran Services and Veteran Treatment Court. And let's see, I wanted to give you a little background of why it's so important. I joined the military because I had a desire to help people. Became a corpsman and eventually an EMT. Later on, became a nurse, specialized in trauma, still hoping to help people. And I did that. And I kind of ran into some dark times and turned to substance abuse and found my way to the VOA in 2014 and was able to maintain sobriety, but had several sobriety dates. I'm sure you know what I mean by that. And so I was lacking something in my recovery. Just staying clean wasn't enough. And I wound up in Veterans Treatment Court in May of 22. And so I knew I had to do something different. And so I started looking around for mentors and people that I could emulate their behavior. And because what I was doing wasn't working. And in a strange turn of events, what I found out is that I was able to fill that void that I felt for helping people while I was in Veteran Treatment Court helping other veterans. And so I graduate today. And as Gary said, it is intensive. Thank you. It is intensive and it is a long path, but it is rewarding. And I really owe all of my success to the VOA for starting my sobriety in 2014. And like I said, choosing mentors along the way. I won't mention their names because some of them were silent mentors. I just tried to take the good, what I could find in everybody, and kind of apply that to the way I live my life. And so I say that to say that's why I'm so grateful for Veterans Treatment Court, Volunteers of America, and the services and the programs they've offered. And I'd like to think that I've took full advantage of them because I have. And now I have the opportunity to remain accountability to the courts and the VOA and still serve veterans coming back in the testing program to assist with that. And with that, I'll just say thanks for letting me speak and to do this thing. Thank you.
All right. And as Charles had mentioned briefly, but he's officially volunteered with us to be a part of our Veterans Treatment Court. He starts next week. He and I had an opportunity to sit down with our staff attorney that coordinates our Veterans Court, and he's going to be really integral in helping us test our veterans, do the drug screens, and really act as a positive role model. So it's always so rewarding when you see veterans that start this journey with us and then come back to give back to Volunteers of America. This says a lot. Just briefly, because this is something we talked about, our newest program, it started on the I want to say June the 11th or there, and we were quickly negotiating the contract. Overton Brooks came to us again and said, can you house these folks? And it was a really, really quick turnaround. If you understand contracting with the federal government, this was really quick, like a couple of weeks. But we decided that we had the capacity at our transitional living facility. It just went hand in hand because the folks that are there living there now in transitional living are focused on sobriety. And then the folks that are coming into us, the 35-day program, this is about sobriety too. So it's such a natural fit. And so we were excited to do it. And, we're looking for great things. I mean, the VA is already having conversations about like how can we expand the program, because it's, from the moment it started, the 10 beds have stayed full. There's not been one empty bed days since we started. So Trisha, we're going to do Q&A, but did we want to do the video or?
Yes, I think so. We have a couple of minutes, so let's go back if that's okay with y'all. And if you have some questions or be thinking about some questions, and after we share Sean's story, we will come back. We will come back to some questions. So let me pull that back up. And hopefully technology is our friend this time. Hold on.
I'm a veteran.
Well, I don't know, y'all, if it's going to be our friend or not. Let me stop it. Maybe I am not, maybe I didn't click the right thing to share my audio.
At one point, I did start to hear it. Yeah, it was coming through.
You did?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, maybe it's just me then.
I'm a veteran of the United States Air Force. So I was in Saudi Arabia, operating no-fly zones, keeping watch over Iraq. The stress that I had not dealt with compounded on me. I was just totally out of control, trying to find a way to drink any way possible. And that led me up to 5 DWIs. That carried a 10 to 30 year mandatory prison sentence in the state of Louisiana. Everything had been taken from me, my car, my mobile home, and we were able to work out a deal with the Ouachita Parish District Attorney. I could do the Veterans Treatment Court program in lieu of going to prison as long as I met all the requirements. Volunteers of America allowed me to be a resident of the Veterans Transitional Facility.
This is our Veteran Transitional Living Program. It is a highly structured, clinically intensive treatment program. Not all of the veterans that we have here are combat veterans, but just being in the military in and of itself, once you get out, you no longer have that structure, and a lot of people get lost. And so I think this is a good fit for them.
Even as much as I tried to fight it, I got to the realization that, you know what, your thinking got you here. So you need to work on your thinking. Going to meetings and talking with people that have been through some of the situations and ordeals that you've gone through, and you don't feel like you're alone anymore. Able to work on things together and see each other grow.
And so just to follow that up, I mean, just to it's the end result of that particular story, of Sean's story, was, he was facing 5 DWIs and up to 30 years in prison. He was an engineer by profession, and so he's now working as an engineer in Monroe. It's a mechanical engineer, and so it just shows kind of everything comes full circle and everything works out if you, as Mr. Dawson said, if you follow the rules and you really commit to the program. So at this point, I think we are open to QA, correct, Tricia?
Yes, let's do some Q&A. Does anyone have any questions? Well, I did see Ruby in the chat. You did, and also Father John. Thank you, Charles. And I just want to echo what they're saying in the chat box. We really appreciate you sharing your story, and we're so happy for you and your graduation today. And just we're all just rooting for you and praying for you as you continue this journey. And we're glad that you're a volunteer now. Okay, well, before we go, if nobody has any questions, and y'all feel free to just interrupt me, take yourself off mute if you think of something, but we have a couple of minutes left, and I just want to remind everyone that we do have tours every month. So this one is our last virtual tour. We went virtual during the summer because, well, we just know that life gets busy and a lot of people are traveling or they're out of town. And so we wanted to make these tours really, as John said earlier, informational, but also anyone from anywhere can join us. And so that's a great thing about these tours on Zoom. Although it is nice, we're ready to get back in person. And so we will be back again in August. And so that tour will be August the 2nd, and we'll be highlighting our Choice Neighborhood program, which is, and I think Ruby, you're our greeter for that tour. So everybody can come see you in person. And so
I'm all in.
we'll be at Bayou Grand Apartments, which is the apartment complex there for families living in the Choice neighborhood. And we serve them with connecting residents to employment, healthcare, and education, anything that may be available to them to support residents, both individuals and their families. And so meet us at the Bayou Grand Apartments, and you can get all that information on our website as well. So that'll be in August. And then the first Wednesday of every month, we'll have a different tour highlighting different programs. So we'll round out the rest of the year in different places. So hope y'all can join us again. And we really appreciate everybody being here this morning. Thank you to everyone who participated. We really appreciate it. And I hope everyone has a great rest of your week. All right. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.